If you're a real Kansas City Chiefs fan, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a like and comment your thoughts, because what we're about to break down today could seriously impact the future of this team in a way nobody expected. This is not just another update. This is something that could quietly turn into one of the biggest roster decisions the Chiefs have to make. So let's talk about it, why Harrison Butker and his massive cap hit might actually put him at risk. Now at first glance, this sounds crazy, right? I mean, we're talking about one of the most reliable kickers in the entire NFL. A guy who has delivered in the biggest moments, including clutch kicks in the playoffs and even in the Super Bowl. When you think about consistency, when you think about trust under pressure, Butker has been that guy for Kansas City Chiefs for years. But here's the thing about the NFL. It's not just about talent. It's about money. It's about timing. And most importantly, it's about the salary cap. And right now, that's where things start to get very interesting. The Chiefs are entering a phase where every dollar matters. You've got superstar contracts, you've got extensions coming up, and you've got to keep a championship window open around Patrick Mahomes. And when you're building around a generational quarterback like Mahomes, tough decisions have to be made. That's where Butker's situation becomes a real conversation. Because his cap hit is no longer small. It's not just a kicker contract you can ignore. It's now a noticeable number on the books, especially for a position that teams historically try to keep affordable. And this is where fans start asking the uncomfortable question, is paying a kicker this much still worth it? Now don't get me wrong. Butker has been clutch. He's been reliable. He's been a key piece of multiple championship runs. But the NFL has shown us something over and over again. Teams believe they can find cheaper alternatives at the kicker position. Every year, new kickers emerge. Undrafted guys, late-round picks, even practice squad players who step in and perform at a high level. It's one of the most replaceable positions in football, at least that's how front offices see it. So when a kicker's cap hit starts climbing, it immediately puts him under a different kind of spotlight. And for the Chiefs, this isn't just about one player. It's about roster construction. Because, think about it, every extra million you spend on a kicker is $1 million you're not spending on your offensive line, your wide receivers, your defense, or depth pieces that could matter in the playoffs. And if there's one thing we've learned about teams chasing championships, it's that depth matters. Now, let's take a step back and look at how we got here. Butker wasn't always expensive. In fact, early in his career, he was one of the best value players on the roster. The production he gave compared to his contract made him a no-brainer. But as time goes on, as players prove themselves, they get paid. That's the nature of the league. And Butker earned his contract. The problem is, what was once a great deal can slowly turn into a tough one as the salary cap situation tightens. And right now, the Chiefs are feeling that pressure. You've got massive deals on the roster. You've got key players who need extensions. You've got expectations to stay at the top of the AFC every single year. And when you're operating at that level, you can't afford inefficiencies. That's the word front offices use, inefficiencies. And unfortunately, expensive specialists often fall into that category. Now here's where things get even more interesting. The Chiefs don't necessarily have to move on from Butker. But the fact that we're even talking about it tells you everything you need to know. Because in the NFL, once a player becomes a cap discussion, their future is no longer 100% secure. There are a few possible paths here. The first one is simple. The Chiefs stick with him. They value his consistency, his experience, and his ability to deliver in high-pressure moments. They decide that having a reliable kicker is worth the cost, especially for a team with Super Bowl ambitions. And honestly, there's a strong argument for that. Because we've seen how games can come down to a single kick. We've seen playoff runs end because of missed field goals. Having someone you trust can be the difference between winning a championship and going home. But then there's the second option, restructuring. This is where things get tricky. Could the Chiefs approach Butker about adjusting his contract? Maybe lowering the cap hit in the short term? It's possible, but it depends on how the contract is structured and whether both sides are willing to make adjustments. And then there's the third option, the one that fans don't want to hear. Moving on. Now this wouldn't be an emotional decision. It would be a business decision. The Chiefs could look at the market, identify a cheaper replacement, and decide that the money saved could be better used elsewhere on the roster. It sounds harsh, but this is how NFL teams operate. And remember, this wouldn't be the first time a team moved on from a reliable kicker for financial reasons. It happens more often than you think. Now let's talk about timing, because that's another key factor here. The Chiefs are in win-now mode. As long as Mahomes is in his prime, this team is going to be chasing championships. That means every roster decision has to support that goal. So the question becomes, does Butker's contract help or hurt that mission? And that's where opinions start to split. Some fans will say, you can't mess with something that works. Keep the reliable kicker. Don't create a new problem trying to save money. Others will say, this is exactly how you stay competitive. You make tough decisions, you find value, and you allocate resources efficiently. And honestly, both sides have valid points. But here's something else to consider. Pressure. If Butker stays, the expectations on him get even higher. Because once you're one of the higher-paid players at your position, especially as a kicker, every miss becomes a bigger story. Every missed field goal, every missed extra point, it all gets magnified. And in a market like Kansas City, on a team with championship expectations, that pressure can be intense. Now imagine this scenario. Late in the season, playoff race is tight. Game on the line. Butker lines up for a crucial kick. If he makes it, he's the hero. If he misses it suddenly, all the talk about his contract comes rushing back. That's the reality of the situation. Now let's be clear, none of this means Butker is a bad player. In fact, it's the opposite. He's been one of the best. But in the NFL, being good isn't always enough to guarantee security. It's about value. It's about timing. And it's about how your contract fits into the bigger picture. And right now, the bigger picture for the Chiefs is staying on top. So what should fans watch for moving forward? First, keep an eye on any contract-related news. If there are talks about restructuring, that's a sign the team is trying to manage the cap without making a drastic move. Second, watch what the Chiefs do in terms of competition. If they bring in another kicker, even as a backup or for camp competition, that could be a subtle sign that they're evaluating their options. And third, pay attention to performance. Because at the end of the day, performance still matters. If Butker continues to deliver in big moments, it strengthens his case to stay. If there are inconsistencies, the conversation gets louder. And that's how quickly things can change in the NFL. One moment, you're a key piece of a championship team, the next, you're part of a financial discussion. And that's exactly where Harrison Butker finds himself right now. Not because he failed, not because he isn't talented, but because the business side of football never stops. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, every decision matters as they try to build another championship roster around Patrick Mahomes.